I'm out here working on the squeeze chute again today. I don't know how far we're gonna get, but my goal is to hopefully at least get the load bars mounted underneath this thing and get everything kind of set up and working. I'm not sure that we'll get any animals across the scale today, but if I can just get it installed, that would be awesome. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. My plan to get these load bars under the chute is to first get the chute up on wooden blocks that suspend it just over where the load bars will be. And the reason for doing that is because I think I'm probably going to have to put the load bars in place, move them out, put them back, you know, back and forth like that several times. Squeeze chutes are deceptively heavy. Just to look at this thing, you wouldn't think that it really weighs that much, but it does. So there's a couple ways that I can lift this up to get the blocks under it. The first way I was thinking is bring my tractor with my 3-point boom arm and use the hoist to pick it up, put the blocks under, and do it like that. But that was going to require so much moving around of equipment that what I want to try is putting the high lift under this rail here and sort of tip it up. Then I can put a block in on this side, and then I can tip it up on the other side and put another block in that way. I think that'll be, if it works, a lot easier. So that's what we're gonna try. I got this thing up on blocks now with plenty of clearance to shove the load bars in there. This took a fair amount of time. Honestly, I think it was still faster than going and getting the tractor and doing everything that way. So now that I've got this thing up on the blocks, it's a little tippy and teetery. So I'm gonna take a couple of minutes and just tie it up to the alleyway so that, you know, if I bump it or something happens, that it doesn't just fall over. Took a couple extra minutes to do that, but the way I think of it is, you know, that could alter the rest of my life if that prevents an accident from happening. And I always got to be conscious of the fact that I'm down here by myself and no one expects to see me until the very end of the day. So if there was something really bad that happened, it would probably be a long time before someone found me. A benefit to having these load bars on here that I never even thought of is it's going to have the chute up off the ground and make it a lot easier to clean out underneath of it, which is something I rarely do because it's so difficult. But I think you could actually get a shovel under there now, so it'll be a lot easier to sort of maintain that. Next step is we're going to go ahead and put the load bars under the chute. I know that I'm going to have to slide the chute forward a little bit, like 1 to 2 inches at the most, I'm thinking. But I don't know exactly how far, but once I get the load bars under there, I will know. The scale that I'm going to be installing on this chute is from Gallagher. It's a W-1 scale head with the heavy duty wired load bars. These load bars will go up to 11,000 pounds, which we will never approach that. I'm not sure what the chute weighs, but let's say the heaviest bull that ever crosses that chute would probably be like just over a ton, maybe 22 to 2,500 pounds. And that chute can't weigh more than 1,500 pounds, let's just say 2,000. So we will probably never even reach half of the capacity of these load bars, but always better to have more than you need. I am really excited about the W-1 scale head. This thing has a lot of features that are perfectly tailored to livestock producers such as myself. It'll track rate of gain for individual animals, and it stores that data. So you could run a cow over this scale for like year after year after year, and it will store all of that information. You can see what her weight does throughout the year. Or like what we're gonna do with the harvest steers is run them over now, and it'll store that information so that when I weigh them at the end of the grazing season, I won't have to go back and find what each one weighed. It'll just be right there in my scale head. Oh, big boy over there. So you can see up here in the front, I've got some room to move the chute forward, and here in the back, we're right up against that concrete ramp. So I'm going to see if I can't just sort of scooch that thing forward with my crowbar. Otherwise, I'm gonna need a come along or maybe even the winch on the side-by-side. Got everything pretty much looking how I want it to look here. I've known from the start that I'm gonna have to weld up some custom feet for the chute that can bolt into these load bars. A lot of manufacturers of chute, probably Powder River did this as well, but they make adapter plates for load bars so you don't have to fabricate your own. But me being cheap like I am, I didn't want to pay for that, and I've got the ability to make them, so why not make them? All I got to do now is take some measurements so I know what these feet need to be, and then we can run back up to the shop and cut them out. 5 inches. And while we're at the shop, one other thing that if I've got the right type of metal I'm going to grab is a cover plate for the back of the chute. And let me show you what I'm talking about. As some of you know, in my previous life, I used to work in weights and measures, and my job was testing scales to see if they were accurate. And one of the things that I learned doing that is there are two things that commonly cause scales to give a false reading. One is the wires to the load cells get crushed. The wires on these Gallagher load bars are wrapped in like a spring loom, but probably I will want to put something like actual conduit around them. Maybe not, but the other thing is little rocks or foreign objects get jammed up in the load bars so that they don't give a good reading. So what I'm looking at here is on the back of the chute, we've got this gap that is surely going to fill up with manure, mud, dirt, and what I'm most worried about is rocks. Because if a rock gets underneath that load bar, it's not going to give a good accurate weight. So what I'm thinking about doing is welding a little plate off the back of the chute that sort of floats above the ramp, so the cattle would have to step up onto the chute, but then it would block this gap and hopefully keep it clean. What do you think? Is that a good idea? If we have the metal, that's what I'm not sure if we have it or not. So, hi. Thank you. We'll have to see what I've got up at the shop. If I had like some 4-inch channel iron, that would be strong enough for this, and it would stick out far enough to cover that gap and still leave me room to get in there with the hose and clean it. So hopefully we got something like that. Yeah, we'll just have to go see. All right, let's go back to the shop. I've been doing an Easter egg hunt here in the shop, figuring out what I've got to work with. And I think what I'll do is I'll make the feet that I'll weld onto the chute out of this 2x2 by quarter wall angle. And then I'll use some 2x2 quarter wall square to sort of make a little gusset to reinforce it. I've got 1/2-inch bolts that are gonna work perfectly for mounting it up, even though the holes on the load bars are quite a bit bigger than that. I think they're like 5/8 or maybe even 3/4. which in metric is like 1,000 milli. That's Pete's joke. I can't take it. Originally, the anchors that I had holding the chute down were only 3/8, so 1/2 inch is actually an upgrade. So let's go ahead and pre-make these pieces and we can take them over to the chute and weld them on. So that one is gonna go like that. Looks like holes line up. Looks good. So I think what I will end up doing is I'll cut this foot off of the chute so that I just don't have this piece sticking out here. That's not doing me any good. It's just something to trip on. But let's get the paint cleaned off of the chute and get these clamped, because they're actually going to go like up here, and we'll figure out exactly where they need to go so the holes line up and we can weld them on. I think that's good. This one's not as critical because if it's a little bit off of where I thought I wanted it, I can move the load bar a little bit just to make the hole line up. The other side is a lot more critical. Thanks, Callie. Well, at long last, I think we're finally ready to bolt the load bars onto the chute, so let's do it. I'm ready. Alright, I'll just leave it loose for now in case I need to jostle around the other side to get the hole to line up. I feel like there's a good chance that could happen. Of course, that assumes that the hole does in fact line up, which it looks like it does. It lines up. Hallelujah. Okay. Does that give me enough? Yes, it does. I'm just so worried I'm going to set it down on the wire. We have landed. Well, I was worried about if these cables would be long enough, and they're definitely long enough. Sweet, there it is. Well, as you can see, I'm not finished yet, but I am close enough to where I can actually walk on the chute and see if everything's working. I still need to anchor this into the concrete, and I still need to shim under the load bars because this slab is so unlevel. I think really only one corner of the chute like sits flat and doesn't need to be shimmed, and pretty much all three of the other corners do. But I've got some kind of temporary things shoved under there right now so that I can test this thing out, because I've been waiting to do this all day. Okay, so we want new, we'll go okay. There we go. So it's at 0. Zeroed again for good luck. Well, what do you know? It works, and that's probably about accurate. I don't actually know exactly what I weigh, but I feel like it is somewhere in that neighborhood. This is a huge step. We're basically there. The scale's installed, it's functional, everything is working the way that I hoped it would. In the next video on this project, we will completely finish dialing the chute in, get everything ready to go, and then we're gonna bring the bulls across here and see what they weigh. But that's gonna have to wait till next time. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.